Good morning, everybody. The day before another Seahawks game, home opener, first time in front of the fans in a meaningful game in over a year and a half. And I'm excited to see what effect the fans can have on the game, but as always, I am more excited to see how the players in between the white lines determine who wins this game. So, we've talked a lot about this game already. I did my live stream with Hawk's Nest. I talked about this game last night in a stream with over 120 people at one point. I talked about this game briefly in a couple other videos, but now it's time to hammer it all down into one video. And hopefully by the end, I'll have managed to sum up everything interesting and insightful about this game in one 12 to 15 minute video. So, the main thing about this game has to be AJ Brown and Julio Jones. you you can't let those guys kill you single-handedly. You cannot let those guys take over the game and just go up and down the field and turn games into a track meet. If you do that, I think you will have success because there isn't a whole lot otherwise about this Titans team right now that really puts the fear of God in me. They're not a bad team, or at least I don't think they are. Maybe they will end up being a bad team. It's early. Sometimes teams fall back. Tennessee is a candidate to be that team that falls back, but other than the AJ Brown and Julio Jones tandem and their ability to just, like I said, take over a game, I'm not too scared of this team right now. And I think some of my initial concerns about this game may have been overblown. And if we can attack their obvious points of weakness, I think we'll get this win, which is not how I felt a couple weeks ago. So we're moving in the right direction. Okay, so the main reason why I have renewed confidence in this game compared to where I was even a week ago, that Titans defense has not gotten better. They have, I don't want to say they've gotten worse, but that's mostly because you can't really get that much worse than they were last season. Now, I know they made the playoffs, and I know they did some things right. You can't make the playoffs if your defense is atrocious, but that defense gave up a lot of stuff. And were it not for them having a really good offense, that team obviously would not have gone anywhere. And if you look at what they did this offseason to try to improve on that side of the ball, bringing in Bud Dupree and drafting Caleb Farley. Caleb Farley's out this weekend, so their top cornerback, I think, is Janoris Jenkins, who is washed up and has been for a couple years now. And as for Bud Dupree, I think he's going to play, but he's clearly not right. This is a guy who tore his ACL less than a year ago. And he clearly wasn't right against Arizona, and there's no reason to believe he's suddenly going to be at 100% after a week. I do think he will play. I think his designation on the injury report is just something that's going to continue this whole year because he tore his ACL last year. Kind of like Will Dissly. Last year he popped up on the injury report a lot, but he played in every game. Um, yeah, so those were their main attempts to improve the defense this offseason. So, yeah, I'm seeing a pretty bad defense coming into Seattle tomorrow. And barring inclement weather, which is a thing and will continue to be a thing until Wilson proves that he can play well in bad weather, I think this could be a game where the offense just annihilates the competition. Assuming good conditions, this offense should score 30 points minimum unless they simply don't need to. If if you don't need to score 30 plus points to win a game, then I understand game flow sometimes dictates that you just run the clock out, you just go into run punt mode at the end of a game. But if it's needed, this should be a game where the offense just plays a really clean, pretty game and leaves us all really excited about the future of the Waldron scheme. Um, They don't have a great defensive line. They do have one guy on that front line, Jeffrey Simmons, who is good. Now, we might not have Damian Lewis, which would be a blow. We know we don't have Posick. That's not really a blow, though. So, yeah, that interior line is not in amazing condition right now, but they've got one guy who really sticks out to me as being a good player in Jeffrey Simmons up there, and that's it. They might... Jayon Brown also injured and didn't practice very much this week, so their linebacking core is thin, and their secondary, Kevin Bird or Kevin Biard, is good, but other than that, I don't see it. And they may need to light up the field in this game, the offense, because that Titans offense, that's where the seat of their power is, which is not what you would typically expect from a Mike Vrabel team when you think about it just logically. But yeah, the Titans offense is talented. Like I said, Julio and AJ, really good receivers. They have two guys who would be number one receivers on most other teams in the league. Really, really dangerous 1-2 punch. And we know where our weakness is as a team. It's at center and it's at cornerback. And I think Trey Flowers and DJ Reed played fine against the Colts. Trey Flowers probably played a little better than fine. But this is different. Like, Trey Flowers could give up 100 yards on Sunday, and I still might not say he played bad because of who he's going up against. Trey Flowers could give up 100 yards and a couple touchdowns, and I don't know if that would be indicative of him playing really badly. That's how good these guys can be. If you allow Tannehill the opportunity to get the ball to those guys, then he's going to do it. And those guys get open against almost everybody. So you damn well bet they can get open on DJ Reed and Trey Flowers, who I don't think are that bad. I don't. But I also understand they're outmatched. A lot of people are saying, can Sidney Jones get involved in this game because he's a little bigger compared to DJ Reed. DJ Reed has a massive size advantage and disadvantage in this game. Sidney Jones would be a little bit of a better match physically. But even if you do that, and I'm not opposed to that, even if you do that, you are still talking about elite wide receivers going up against guys who, I know we like them, or some of us like them. Some of us like Flowers, some of us like Reed, some of us like Jones. They're outmatched in terms of talent. So I get it. Those guys are going to do some damage. But the thing is, the Cardinals cornerbacks are not that good either. We don't have good corner or great corners right now. Our corners are kind of a question mark. Arizona's, I don't see nothing there. They lost Patrick Peterson and they lost Malcolm Butler right before the season started. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones were downright pedestrian against them last week because it wasn't about the corners versus the receivers. They made that game about something else. And that's the key. You get pressure on Tannehill. You take advantage of the fact that Taylor Lewan is physically not right. He is clearly not capable of playing at the level that he used to play at. Not even close. Gave up 5 sacks last week. So Dunlap, Alton, Mayoa, Taylor, whoever lines up against Taylor Lewan, you got to go to work. You got to go to work the same way Chandler Jones went to work last week. You do that, good things are going to happen. Of course, it's not just those guys. You need pass rush from all over the place. Tennessee's offensive line, which used to be a powerhouse a couple seasons ago, has degenerated quite a bit. They lost Conklin to the Browns. Taylor Lewan might be in a different phase of his career at this point because physically he's just not there yet. It's not your older brother's Tennessee offensive line. So I'm looking at the defensive tackles. LJ Collier may be active this week. If he is, go make some plays. Prove that you deserve your snaps. I know you were mad last week. Everybody was talking about how he was mad because he didn't get activated against the Colts. Well, you might get activated this week because Monet is not 100%, may not be ready to go in this game. I think he's going to play, near as I can tell. I think DJ Reed's going to play as well. I think all of our questionable players will play. But go out there and do something if you get activated. Because the Monet elbow thing may mean that you get on the field. And if it does, show us something. Prove to us that you're not a bust. Prove to us that you deserve some of that playing time. Show us that you're better than a guy like a Brian Monet. Show us that you're better than Al Woods. You might not get that many chances this year, so do damage there. And, of course, Kerry Hyder and Rasheem Green. It's going to be about the pass rush, all about that pass rush. Now, Derrick Henry, I'll say this, and I said this a couple times this week, and I'm not the only person who said it. Last week, the Titans didn't get Derrick Henry the ball as much as they typically do. I think he had like 10 yards at halftime. And the offensive coordinator for the Titans probably had people in his ear all week from the media and other coaches and players saying, get Derrick Henry the ball, you idiot. Like, what are you doing? Get Derrick Henry the ball. Don't let him become a non-factor by not getting him the ball until the game is out of reach. Get him his carries. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Titans went to a run-heavy offense because of that. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of an overreaction, and you're going to see Derrick Henry get the ball a little too much. And look, Derrick Henry's great, but I'm going to say it right here, right now. Bring that on. I would much rather deal with Derrick Henry than AJ and Julio. Derrick Henry's great, and he can do a lot of good things that help your team win, but to me, running backs are not the way to beat this Seahawks team. You don't run the ball on us to beat us. And I know Derrick Henry's going to make some decent plays out there, but I don't think you make your hay by running against the Seahawks defense. Even if it's somewhat successful, I just don't think that's how you beat the Seahawks team. And if the Titans decide to come with a run-heavy offense on Sunday, then I'm ready for it. And I think that even if he plays well, it spells good things for our team's fortunes. And that's really about it. That's the offense and defense for you. Look, this is a game that I hope this team is taking seriously. The Titans are more talented than they showed against the Cardinals, but they are clearly critically flawed. And if Bud Dupree and Jayon Brown miss this game, it could be a field day for our offense. It could be one of those slaughter games like from 2015 in the second half of the season when Wilson just went off. Dropped touchdowns on pretty much every single drive against teams like the Vikings and the Ravens and to a certain extent the Steelers, and just almost won MVP based off 8 games alone. It has an opportunity to turn into a game like that, but if you let the Titans go blow for blow with you with AJ and Julio, that's how you lose. I believe that. I'll live with Derrick Henry. Even if Derrick Henry gets 100 yards and has a productive day, I can deal with that. I can't deal with Julio and AJ destroying your secondary. So maybe DJ Reed's not 100%. Maybe you got to get Sidney Jones and maybe even bless you on Austin out there. But don't let them be the reason. Play your safeties back, double cover a lot, live with the results with the running game. I know that's not really Pete's modus operandi, but I think that's how you win this game. Even if Henry plays well, if you keep grinding on them and you force them into a couple of turnovers, which is something that I really expect us to be able to get this week with Taylor Lewan playing the way that he's playing, then I feel good about coming out with this victory. There should be no shortage of opportunities to put up points in this game. The only question is, can we stop Tennessee a couple times? I feel like the answer to that is yes, but it all comes back to finding a way to not let yourself get completely slaughtered by AJ and Julio. All right, guys. See you guys later for the Huskies live stream. Obviously, tomorrow after the game, there will be a video and a post-game discussion stream, win, lose, or draw. And definitely come out to that and let yourself be heard. And see you guys later on. Go Hawks.